Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Hi, welcome to Silicon Valley Technology, Art, Green, and Sustainability. Today I have an expert in the building industry and green building industry. Her own personal home is a green home. Iris, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Can you tell the audience about your company and who you are and what you do?
I'm the CEO and founder of Harrell Remodeling, and we are a design and build firm that works for very busy homeowners who want to have their home more functional. And by the way, it's going to be more beautiful and more green. So all of Silicon Valley, that's what we do.
And you've been working in this business how long?
I have a lot of gray hair. I've been here in California, Silicon Valley, since 1985. And I was also a contractor in Dallas for 4 years, Dallas, Texas.
So tell the audience how you got started in the business.
Well, I get asked that question a lot because there aren't very many women general contractors in the country. In Dallas, when I still didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, I was 32 and I met my life partner of 30 years. She had just bought her first home, which was a 1920s brick duplex in Dallas that needed a lot of work.
A brick duplex?
Yeah.
In Dallas. Dallas doesn't flood a lot, right? Like Houston?
No, but it, it was a beautiful structure, but of course the inside, the kitchen was how many years old? It was like more than 60 or 70 years old.
Wow.
So, and just a lot of things that needed to be done well to bring it into the current century, but also to make it look like it fit in the 1920s style. So we just started working on it on the weekends and with some retired craftspeople that her mother knew, and that's how I got started.
Now I thought it was her home. So
it was her home,
mother's home, but it was.
Well, I worked on her home, which became our home.
Okay.
And then I worked on her mother's home.
Okay.
And then I worked on her mother's rental homes.
Oh.
And then I worked on her.
So you got a lot of experience before moving to California.
Oh yeah. I worked on her birdwatcher friends' homes.
Oh. That must have been an interesting home.
Yeah, it was. It was I got a good education before I came out here.
So it was 1983 when you started?
Actually, 1984 when I started here. I actually started in 1979 in Dallas.
And you got your contracting license there and then here?
Yes, it's a little harder to get it here in California than it is in Texas.
Now, even in the early 80s and late?
Oh yeah, I mean in Texas you drove up with your pickup truck and a dog in the back and paid $25 and you had it. Of course in California there's a lot more involved.
Yeah.
Studying for the contractor's license board and test and in both technical and legal.
And I bet you passed that right away with flying colors. And
I used to be a school teacher and I love taking tests and passing tests.
So I guess what has been the most challenging thing about being in the building industry, I guess? What's the most challenging thing? And maybe now the most challenging time, I guess, in the business, or what's been the most challenging thing in your career?
Well, I think every business has its challenges in its levels of growth. And I think I've converted my company to an ESOP, which is an employee stock ownership plan, in 2001, because at some point I won't be working in the distant future and wanting it to go on, the business to go on. We have 36 families depending on the jobs from this company, which I'm very proud of. I think it's a patriotic thing to provide jobs in the area. And so setting that up was it was a little complicated. And the other technical thing really has more to do with the building departments and around here. There's no sense of urgency to give you a permit. And you have to get a permit for everything. which I understand.
I know some contractors say, well, if you're not opening up a wall, they really don't know.
No,
some of those contractors will say that, right?
Yeah, I just, it's really, especially if you're going to sell the home later, you have to disclose anything you've done without a permit or with a permit, and so we just play by the book. So they're a little arduous to deal with, but we've learned.
So I know you're a very busy woman, and I can't see you retiring, but since you did bring that up, is there any plans for that, or?
Well, I think in the next maybe 5 years, I might be looking at more part-time work, or.
But you always keep your fingers in
I
something.
just, I love this because it's so creative. It's a very creative outlet for me, not just creating for people, but also the business itself as it evolves. It's very interesting to me.
So tell us, I guess, then the most exciting part about what you do in your business. And
well, I think, my motto is one home at a time. Our company motto is we never forget it's your home. I think it's very hard to do remodeling and people are living in the home, which is what we deal with almost all the time. But I think the exciting thing is when the transformation happens and afterwards the client says, I cannot believe how my life has improved. It's not just about the house, it's really improving their life. And that is a very exciting process. And it can be fun. And I realize we hear all the horror stories, but if you have good team players with you in terms of choosing the right people to work with, it's really fun.
So tell us about the green building aspect and how that's playing in. Are you seeing a lot of people requesting that in the building?
Well, there aren't as many people requesting it as I think it would be appropriate, actually. But we tend to look at it from a green perspective anyway, because really what green building is about is energy conservation. It's about indoor air quality, which affects your health.
It's about healthy living.
Yeah, it's about healthy living. And so we're looking for longevity in terms of the work that we do. Low maintenance, that it will last a long time, that's good green building. That you don't have to keep replacing it and fixing it. So
instead of ripping everything up, working with what you have.
Right, repurposing some things and not just scratching everything and starting over. I mean, we've built a new house, but that's so much easier. You're starting from the ground up and you just, we've held houses up and built in the bottom, or held the house up and built on the top and underneath.
So if you have an older home and you start working on it, a lot of times you'll find problems, right? And then that's when people sometimes have to move out and redo the whole thing. But
well, we try to plan ahead. If you crawl in the crawl space and crawl in the attic and you do enough investigation during the design, you can reduce the amount of surprises. You can't eliminate them, but they don't have to be as large as most of them are these days.
Well, I tell you, a few weeks ago we had a little flood in our back porch, so you need to come on over. And it's an old funky back porch with one of those half bathrooms. Yeah. And I was getting ready to go to this car show, and I thought, it's in Marin, it's 2 hours away, and it was the day of the beta breakers. I better use the restroom. I went back there and I heard this little drip, touched the hose in the back of it, and it was like a Lucille Ball episode where the hose is just flying all over the place, and it's an old home, so I couldn't turn it off. And luckily a couple friends were in the car, got them out there. They were all wet, 8 o'clock in the morning.
This is
crazy. It was comedy. It was pure comedy. But a few minutes later, three inches of water.
Yeah.
And
this is serious
we've
stuff.
had the insurance come and look, and we've ripped up a little of the floors and had the dryers come out. And it's like, oh my goodness. Well, if we're going to ripping up the floors anyway, and it looks like there's a little problem, we might as well expand out and maybe do a bathroom back there.
We call that the while you're here, while you're here mode. Let's go ahead and get this right. Yeah.
So you need to come on over, because we had the insurance people come out, but we haven't really done any plans for that. But I'm thinking we need to kick out that wall and do a bigger bathroom or something.
Yeah,
so
I think that's a great idea. It's a great idea.
So I guess I know you're doing your home green, and again, going back to that, the USGBC has the new LEED standard for homes. Build It Green's the standard here. Is that something that you work with most of the time with homeowners, or?
We are using the Build It Green standards because Build It Green standards tend to apply to more existing homes. LEED started out with new homes and commercial buildings, and they're kind of trying to develop, their standards for the existing homes. I think Build It Green's points are more achievable at a lower cost, not only during the construction, but to get them tested. They are an incredibly great organization that have, actually most of the towns around here are adopting their point system.
Is it more of an achievable system for the average homeowner then?
Well, there's a